I can promise you, after watching this film, there probably isn't another film that will be released this year that is as unique as the film Beau Is Afraid. What did I think about this film as it's directed by one of my favorite directors, Ari Aster? Well, stick around and find out. Following the sudden death of his mother, a mild-mannered but anxiety-ridden man confronts his darkest fears as he embarks on an epic odyssey back home. The film stars Joaquin Phoenix, Patti LuPone, Amy Ryan, Nathan Lane, Kylie Rogers, Dennis Menochet, and Parker Posey, and was directed by Ari Aster, and he's done films like Hereditary and one of my favorite films of all time, Midsummer. Beau Is Afraid. Now, I was very excited to check out this film. Originally, this film was titled Disappointment Boulevard, and I thought that it would be a horror film. In the trailer that I saw, it was like a brief clip, and it was basically Joaquin Phoenix going on a journey in which it seemed like it would be kind of like a Wizard of Oz type thing. And that's really all I knew about this film. One of the things that was a little bit daunting going into this film is the fact that it is 3 hours. Any movie that's 3 hours, I'm always very hesitant at the fact that it's that long. And Ari Aster, I really do like Hereditary and Midsummer. Those are my favorite films. And this being his third film, this film is completely different from those two films. I can say that this is not a horror film at all, but it's a film that really does go into a lot of symbolism. And it's a film that is going to be a lot about interpretation. And the interpretation that I found out of this film is you have this guy named Beau, played by Joaquin Phoenix. The apartment that he's living in, there's all this crazy crime going around. There's a lot of poverty going around, people getting murdered, a whole bunch of different stuff going on. And the symbolism that I found in his life during these scenes is, one, there is a broken elevator. So that was a symbolism of the fact that he has a life that is very broken. In one aspect, he has his mother, who you can tell in this film is a very selfish person. And you'll know later when you watch the film what I mean by that. But I think in this film, there isn't really a hero versus villain type situation. It's a film where you have these two characters that are both very selfish and very self-centered in different ways. For instance, the mother is in a company and she's very rich. So the things that she does and controls about her son, that really is a reflection of who she is as a person. And the fact that he really never visits his mom is a reflection of how he was treated as a child from his mother. And so there's another symbolism part in here where they talk about a brown spider, which talks about him really being a recluse as a person, because it's a brown recluse that's on a loose at the apartment. And so that symbolism actually showed me that he's so uptight and he really doesn't break out of his shell. When the film starts out, we see that Beau is talking to a psychiatrist, and we can tell that he has some anxiety, he has some problems within his mind, and he's obviously getting prescribed different kind of drugs to actually control his anxiety and control his issues that he has inside his head. And one of the interesting things that you'll see that is a foreshadow to later in the film is when the actual psychologist, he actually writes down on the notepad, guilty. Now, during that time when he wrote that down, it didn't really mean much to me, but you'll see that throughout the film, what that actually symbolizes and what it foreshadows in the film. Now, when you see Joaquin Phoenix's character on these drugs, what I really gathered from that is he's self-medicating himself, but at the same time, is that self-medication really affecting him a lot more as a person and really making him have trouble trying to open up? And when he's taking these drugs, it's making him have some sort of side effects, I would say, because this film, it really deals with what I would say as a really bad dream, I would say. It really has a reflection on generational abuse and things that really happen throughout your childhood that really can follow you down the road. And because that really bottles you up inside, it really makes you this recluse person, back to the point of the fact that there's a brown spider that is on the loose. Now, things like that really tie into Beau's character. And things that you really find out in this film, there are some surprises. And you think to yourself, well, that's a really crazy twist or that what they're showing in the film, I don't really understand that. But when you actually think about this film, and I've thought about it obviously for days now as certain things that are actually introduced in this film, it's a film that really does have a lot of strange visuals, a lot of strange things happening, but it's also a film that you look at and you have to really interpret every little thing in the film. So I would say that if you're going into this film and you're not a person that really wants to think too much, if you really don't want to really analyze something too much, if you just want to sit back and have an easy watch, I wouldn't recommend this film. But if you're someone that really wants something different, you've seen so many superhero films, you've seen a lot of stuff that you've seen over and over and over, this is a film that I think is very unique in the way that it tells its story. But it's an unconventional story, and it's a story that it builds and builds and builds, but it's slow at the same time. Accountability takes a big toll in this film. The fact that Beau, he lives in this really crappy apartment, he's a recluse, he's single, and the fact that he doesn't get a lot of sleep, he's in a bad neighborhood, he's so scared of everyone and everything that because he is like that, he's in a way put himself in that situation. But at the same time, some of the generational abuse that he suffered as a child, that really followed him throughout life. So you have a part where the parent is to blame in the way, and the fact that he is raised by a single mother, he doesn't have a father, so that really takes a toll as well, because not having that father figure, obviously it really affects him from being a man. And in this, he's kind of wimpy, and because he's wimpy and he has all these different problems, especially within his head, and the fact that he's taking all these different drugs, he's really messed up, and he's going through a lot of messed up situations in this. The comedy in this film is super dark, and I guess after watching this film, you can say that I have a very morbid sense of humor because of the dark comedy that they throw into this film. Now, Beau, he does find himself in some interesting situations. The film, it does go into colorful moments, some gloomy moments, and it has a mix of those colors throughout the film. Beau goes through a lot of WTF moments in this film, some really horrible things, and he also experienced some things for the first time, like love for the first time. Now, I can tell you this, when you do see a certain scene and where You'll Always Be My Baby by Mariah Carey is played, you'll never think of that song again because of the scene. And there is a morbid kind of scene during that song, so I was definitely laughing during that scene. But as far as what I would say is negative about this film, I would say that the runtime is very daunting. Like I said, it's 3 hours, and you can feel that it can be kind of tedious, some kind of meandering with the film. But I think I can't really picture anything else negative that I would say about this film. I think it's a film that is extremely unique. It's definitely different from any of the other films from Ari Aster, but I do know that this film, it's going to have a selective audience, and a lot of people are going to really interpret this film a little bit different. And I think some people, when they actually watch this film and after 3 hours, you're going to feel a little bit exhausted. You're going to feel as if you don't really know if you could really connect every little thing that happens. And then there's going to be other people that watch a lot of films, and they're going to really kind of gather everything together, and they may like it or they may hate it. I've definitely seen some mixed reviews where some people have really liked the film, some people have really hated it, and some people were kind of in the middle. But I really enjoyed the film, and I had a lot to think about after this film. And as far as the score that I would give this film, I would give it a 4 out of 5. Thought it was an excellent film. As far as ranking between the other two films that he's made, I think this is his third best, because I really still do like Midsommar, and Hereditary is a really good film as well. But I think this is kind of on its own because it's completely different from those two films. But let me know in the comments, what did you think about this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was it just kind of meh? And if you haven't checked out this film, is it something that you're going to check out? Thank you guys for checking out this review, and I will see you guys on my next review.